and you need to have a partner who's going to support you and love you regardless of your ambitions, diba? So these are things that you really have to talk about early on. Turns out that a lot of women who stop working and then go back later have a hard time going back, even though they're only in their 30s. Or sometimes it happens to OFWs when they've been gone for a few years. And I'm not talking about women who are in their 50s or 60s or 70s. I'm talking about women in their 30s.
Hi, this is Pia Cayetano. Welcome to my podcast, My Daily Race.
This is Pia Cayetano. Welcome back to my podcast, My Daily Race. At the time of this recording, we have already launched My Daily Race, and we already have feedback that initially the favorite episode is the heavy episode, the one about grief. I think the title is How to Turn Your Pain into Purpose. For those who haven't seen it, everything I talk about naman is usually based on my own personal experiences, not just my observations. And this is about my loss of my son, my child, and shortly after the loss of my father. So, malalalim pala kayo. So, but yeah, I mean, I was also looking for resources, no, for people or books that I could read at the time that it happened. So I'm happy that my experiences could be a source of information, maybe a source of comfort for those of you who needed it. So do let us know if you want to hear more of it, and do comment. If you want to share your own experiences, you have questions, I will always respond to the best of my ability. So today's episode is also serious, maybe not as heavy, but serious. And I'm excited about it. Our topic today is to work or not to work. Although my perspective is coming from a female perspective, dahil syempre babae ako, but I think it's also relevant for men nowadays, diba? Kasi there's more men who work. But do understand that I'm coming from a female perspective. But I do hope that I have male viewers and listeners, or share them with them, kasi this is most relevant in a relationship. Medyo mahirap yata not to work if you're not in a relationship unless ikaw ay isang heredera. You have money that comes from other sources. But normally this is discussed because when you get married or when you are coupled and one party works, then the other one has the option not to work. So that is in a traditional setting, and I emphasize traditional because nowadays everybody can do whatever they want. But the most traditional setting is there's a husband and a wife, and many, many years ago, usually the husband works and the woman stays at home. I think in the industrial, I was going to say in the 1960s, but actually historically during the Industrial Revolution, and this is the Western perspective, of course, women started working as well because they needed to provide for their family. So that's when you had these dual income families. During the Industrial Revolution, that is one reason why formula milk was invented, because it now had to cater to these women who started working right after childbirth, and so they were not able to breastfeed their babies anymore. So interesting fun fact. I've worked all my life. When I say all my life, all my after college life. I worked a little bit in between, but mostly after college. I worked, then I went back to school. I went to law school. I had a business on the side. And then I graduated from law school and I had another business on the side. And then I became a full-time employee that never ended. And I had my babies after that. And then I launched my business and I became a full-time entrepreneur. So clearly my position in this discussion of to work or not to work is to work. That is my position. I feel so strongly about it. I highly advocate it, but of course, you are all entitled to your own opinions. And I'm going to digest now what are the three main reasons why I believe that women should continue working. One is the financial aspect, the second is personal growth, and the third is the social aspect. So first, I'm going to discuss the financial aspect. When I was newly married, and a lot of my friends around me were equally newly married, there really were some who really were decided that after they have children, they will not work anymore. In my immediate group of friends, if I recall correctly, everyone continued to work. Why is that? I don't know. It could be because my friends and I all came from middle class families, and maybe it was inculcated in us that life is hard. We all need to contribute to the economic well-being of our family. So from my recollection, lahat kaming mga babae, even after we gave birth, we continued to work. But there really are women who consider not working, or guess what? Their husbands ask them not to work. So my first issue that I want to discuss is, can you let your partner, your husband, dictate if you will work or not? For me, it's a personal choice. And that's part of your freedom of choice in a relationship. I personally don't believe that one person should dictate what the other person should do. And I will now tie this into one of the biggest issue when it comes to violence against women: financial abuse. This is when, there are different kinds of abuses. There's physical abuse, which I think is quite clear. There's economic or financial abuse, and this is where one party would use the financial situation to take advantage of a woman. So, for example, the husband or male partner refuses to share his salary with his partner, and she doesn't have any other means. So he forces her to do things, whether it's sexual favors or abusive behavior towards her, then that is economic abuse. And so I would never want to see a woman unable to leave a relationship because she has no financial protection. That is the main reason why I would want my own children, daughters, to continue to work. And that is why I would advocate for every woman to continue to work, regardless of your circumstances. Now, we each have our own situation. So it's possible that you don't have the means to get childcare for your child. So wala kang pambayad ng yaya. Like if you are living abroad, walang daycare. And so what would you do? So ikaw na lang ang sa bahay. That can happen, but there are ways we can address this because nowadays it's so easy to set up a business. Like you could be online selling something right from your house. You could be partnering with a friend and be a silent partner in a business, or be the one in charge of marketing from the house while your friend is selling your product outside. So I truly believe that it is in the best interest of a woman to continue to take care of her financial independence. Kasi you never know what will happen in the relationship. And even if literally to death do a spark kayo ng partner mo, like not, you don't have any issue, but what if he becomes ill later on in life? He has a injury that prevents him from working, and you have nothing because he's working. Then you have something. You don't have to start from zero, right? So for me, it is economic security if a woman continues working even beyond childbirth. Now, what would your options be if your husband doesn't want you to work? Well, first of all, you should have talked about it before you got married or before you moved in together or whatever, before it got serious. Kasi I know that there are some men who have these kind of views. I feel that that's very detrimental because who you are at a young age, whether it's 18, 24, 27, and then later on 35, 45, may be very different people. You may have been a devoted mother at that time, and then at 35, maybe you say, oh, my kids are in high school, or at 45, my kids are in college, and now it's about me. I want to explore my potentials in the corporate world. You can't be sure who you're going to be later on at any stage of your life. And you need to have a partner who's going to support you and love you regardless of your ambitions, diba? So these are things that you really have to talk about early on. I get it that many couples, and could be even the husband himself or the woman herself, the wife, will say that I really want na I'm full-time with my child because the first years are the most important years. But I still am really scared of that economic vulnerability. Now, if for example, your situation is that your husband is really earning well and you're also comfortable that maybe for the first 2 years you won't work, that's your choice. I'm not saying that you can't take a leave from your work or resign and then rejoin the workforce after a few years. Of course you can do that. But I just really want to emphasize economic security. And if you have the means, like you have a little bit of savings, if you can invest that somewhere so that even though your husband's income can provide, then that investment of yours is your nest egg for whatever future needs you might have. This brings me to one of the laws that I worked on in 2010. So in 2010, I was campaigning and this woman comes up to me and says, Ma'am, paano na kaming mga matatanda na daw hindi na pwedeng ma-hire? And she didn't even look old. She looked maybe my age at that time, like late 30s or early 40s. I don't even think she looked 40s from my recollection. And it turns out that a lot of women who stop working and then go back later have a hard time going back, even though they're only in their 30s. Or sometimes it happens to OFWs when they've been gone for a few years. And I'm not talking about women who are in their 50s or 60s or 70s. I'm talking about women in their 30s. Long story short, I worked on this bill passionately, and in 2016, we passed the Anti-Age Discrimination in Employment Act. This requires that whatever job should not discriminate based on age, because a lot of these jobs that were discriminating, their objective was to look for young, fresh girls. So I was like, what? You're no longer fresh at 29? If you ask me, you're very fresh at 29. You're very fresh at 35. And this job we should not allow society to dictate the skills of women based on the age of their face. Because I truly believe all these women wanted to work. I saw it. They want to work. They want to work. So my job is to create that environment that allows them to work. And now, extension of my job is to talk about why I believe women should continue working. And so that first reason is really financial stability and security. I've seen really sad stories, and you don't have to look that far. Isang telenovela lang yan, where, a woman is living in luxury or in comfort, and then suddenly her husband or whatever has a change of hearts or change in circumstances, tragic death, tragic illness, and suddenly this woman is left with nothing with her kids. And maybe she graduated, so the skills are there, but she'll have to start from zero. Or maybe she didn't even develop those skills. So then again, the more she has to start from zero. So really, financial security requires you take care of yourself. You take care of your children's future as well. And let me just add, in the time of AI, what if your husband is the best, I don't know, whatever, computer engineer, but then suddenly AI can take over his job? Because in the age of AI, and I've been talking about this for years because my training is also in futures thinking, sabi nga, by 2030, something like 90% of jobs will no longer exist. Can you imagine that? But it doesn't mean that 90% of people will be out of jobs. No, you just have to reskill. So it's people who reskill, who adapt. These are the people who will continue to thrive. Okay, so that's what I mean. The second point is for personal growth. As I mentioned, I was like a small-time entrepreneur during my law school days, and then post-law school, and then into my law office. Even though I was already a lawyer, I was a thriving entrepreneur on the side until I put up my shops. And I actually had 9 retail shops in different malls. And I can honestly say that aside from financial stability, there was so much personal growth on my part because I was learning, and I really have an inquisitive mind. And so I was learning so many new skills as an entrepreneur. I had to learn to deal with people, employees. I had to be creative in selling my product, in selling them to the brand managers of different department stores. I had to sell myself in trade shows in New York, in Dallas, at Hong Kong, because I wanted to be a distributor of their products. So for moms out there who know the brand Carter's, Lamaze toys in particular, Thomas the Tank, I used to be this distributor of those brands. So I had to market myself. So these were all like skills that I can't really say I had because hindi naman ako marketing major, but I think I developed it over time. So that's really part of personal growth. And I wouldn't exchange it for the world. Like napupuyat ako, I would be up late because I would do this after work. But it's part of personal growth and it's who I am today. So for personal growth alone, I would still say that it's great to have a job. And later on, I'm going to talk about the different kinds of jobs that you can have or income opportunities out there that would still give you that flexibility of still being a stay-at-home mom but having these work opportunities, right? Because I think you can have the best of both worlds, and in this digital age, it allows for more of that to happen. So my third reason is the social aspect. I've read so many accounts of very fulfilled mothers who are full-time mothers. But the truth there is also the other side, the part that you might lose on is how do you connect with the adult world, with the world that's moving so fast around you? Like, let's say, whatever your career was, you were a lawyer, you were in healthcare, you were in business, and let's not pretend na walang FOMO. Kasi meron, no? Most of us would have FOMO na, wow, my best friend is already na-promote and out celebrating her promotion, traveling with her boss, and here I am taking care of my kids. I'm not diminishing the significance of being home taking care of your kids. That's my greatest joy, bringing up my family, bringing up my kids. I do know that there is that aspect. And if you are open-minded to talk to people who've gone through this, the reality is you do miss out both ways. So if you're also away from your child, of course, there's also that, oh no, I'm working late, it's 8 p.m., my baby's alone, maybe with the lola, maybe with the yaya, and you do feel bad. So there's always give and take. No, there's never a perfect situation. But I'm talking about the lost social aspect if you're going to be full-time and not have enough time for yourself to develop your relationships with other people. Yes, there's this term now, women who lunch. Who are women who lunch? Well, they could be executives who have lunch together, but they could also be moms who take time to create their social network because precisely they need that social network because they're home most of the time with their baby. So they need another level of conversation and discussion other than being with a toddler day in and day out. And then others will go to other extremes. I don't know how big it is in the Philippines, but some would have book clubs, some would join cooking clubs. Then that's also okay. I mean, if you can find your satisfaction being a full-time mom and developing this social side so that you're not missing out, that's totally fine. My job really now is to just present what are the different concerns that you're going to face if you do decide to be that full-time mom. But again, I'll go back. If you decide to be full-time for now, you can be full-time for the first 3 months of your baby's life, for the first 6 months, for the first 1 year, 2 years, go ahead. Whatever suits you, it's your decision. My job is simply to tell you what's going on outside, what you might want to think about so that you don't fear that you made the wrong decision. Now that I talked about what are those key reasons why I'm a believer that you must continue working, I want to talk about what do I mean by work? Does it mean that you have to have a 9 to 5 job? No, I don't mean that. What I mean is I want you to have your source of income, and I want it ideally to include personal growth for you. It allows you ideally to interact with different people so that, this situation, and this is also very real. Now, if a woman is stay at home and then the husband comes home and he's so tired from work, and ideally he's happy to see his wife, but sometimes he just wants to collapse and you can't relate because ikaw naman and I went through this for a short time because as a breastfeeding mom availing of my maternity leave, I'm just home. So I'm eager for adult conversation, right? So can you imagine if that's your life for 1 year, for 2 years, for 3 years? And you can't relate to your partner who maybe just wants to shut down, put his feet up, and you're in a way living different lives. So what I want for this woman is to also still be out there, like her brain is out there. Her body and her heart may be here in the home, but her brain 3 hours a day, she's online selling. She's maybe if you're a writer, you're making a copy for an ad agency or for a client. You're editing. There's so many opportunities that you can now use your brain and your skills at home. I think opportunities that didn't even exist in my time because at most what we had then was a fax and then slowly internet na napakabagal pa. Mabilis na ngayon. So what are these? Well, online selling. In our show, CIA with BA with Kuya Boy Abunda and my brother Alan. So funny, almost 90% of the people we interview, what do you do? Online selling, ma'am. Wow. I'm actually envious because I don't do online selling. I think I want to try. What do you sell? Yung mga niluluto ko or reselling. It's amazing and I'm happy for them, okay? Be legit naman, diba? So what do you online sell? Okay, we always ask, what are you good at? Are you good at cooking? Are you good at baking? You don't even need to have a lot of products. If you have the best brownies in the neighborhood, wow, then sell your brownies. If you have the best lasagna in the neighborhood, sell your lasagna. Leche flan, whatever it is. So many things that you can sell online. If you love fitness, then you can use that and sell that skill as well. During the pandemic, you could teach people online. You don't even have to leave your house. You could conduct, if you're a yoga instructor, please don't try to teach yoga if you're not an instructor, okay? But if you're a certified instructor, a yoga instructor, a strength training instructor, a dance, a Zumba instructor, you can do it online. You don't have to leave the presence of your home. In fact, if you want to be even more creative and you have somebody who will take your video, you can bank 10 different videos in your library and just keep reselling it, and you don't have to do it anymore. You just keep reselling it. That's what so many people do. Video yourself doing that skill and sell the package. So there's so many things you can do. Or if you can afford, and this is where the personal growth social aspect comes in. If you can afford to leave the house for a few hours, let's say your husband comes home, he can come home early at certain days a week, or you can have somebody help you with your child a few days a week. Then maybe, again, I'm using fitness as an example now because that's my life. Then you could be an in-studio fitness instructor, maybe 2 lunch breaks a week. And so you have that social aspect. You'll earn income, but you have now the chance to interact with people of like mind, interested in taking care of their bodies, and so on and so forth. And then you could do consultancy. Like if you were in marketing for the first few years, then you got married, had a baby, then you could be a marketing consultant like me. In my businesses, at any point in time, I would be happy to talk to these consultants who know more than me when it comes to marketing, or maybe graphic artists to make posters or whatever communications that they can do. I can't create it. I can tell you what I want, but I can't create it as the owner of that business. So there's so many consultancies that you can do from your own home. I think it's really important to audit yourself and know what your skills are, so that if you do decide that this is what I want to do, I want to be at home, because nobody will tell you that you have to give up your life to be a mom. I mean, you will be the best mom if you're also happy with yourself. And being happy with yourself includes taking care of yourself, your own personal growth. We can talk about breastfeeding. I want to hear your comments if you want to talk about breastfeeding separately, because that's a whole other advocacy of mine. That's another reason why women leave work or don't work. At a separate time, maybe we can talk about what are the things you need to do for yourself, because I'll tell you about not just financial security, but I'll tell you about fitness and health and your well-being, and then the social aspect about nurturing friendships, so on and so forth. Those are the things that ideas of what you can do to still strive for that financial independence, or not, if not independence, at least contribute to your financial security while deciding to still be a stay-at-home mom. I'm really looking out for your financial security, because it becomes a real source of problems also in a marriage and in a relationship. I do hope that you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to comment, to react, and do share my podcast if you're enjoying it with friends of like mind, and in this case, with your partner, so that they know where you're coming from in your desire to be the best version of yourself. So until the next one, this is Pia Cayetano. I hope you enjoyed our episode of My Daily Race.